Football Prizes sponsors Club at 22. Football Prizes gives you a chance to win the very best prizes the beautiful game has to offer. This week you can win a signed Steve Davis Rangers shirt presented in a bespoke frame with LED lights and a built-in TV. Tickets for this one-of-a-kind prize cost just £3.56 when you use code CLUB at 22. Go to footballprizes.co.uk or click the link in the description for this podcast to get your tickets. Hello everyone and welcome back to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. In a rather disappointing week, we have to somehow pick ourselves back up as we have the small matter of the first group stage game of the Champions League against Ajax and Holland on Wednesday night. However, I fear that may take a wee bit of a back seat at the start as we try to debrief the disaster that was Saturday. I am your host, Scott Carney, and before I introduce the guys, not that they need an introduction, I have to start with a massive thank you to everyone for giving me something positive to be about on Sunday as we smashed through 3k subscribers, which is just bonkers. It really is for this podcast. I cannot thank you enough for the support, and I've said it before, it is only just the start. So thank you very much, everybody. Also, a few coffee buyers slipped through the net. My apologies. So Robert, Larry and Lorraine for the coffees, thank you very much. Al as well, who signed up to the coffee buying membership, much appreciated. And last but not least, we have had a few more people sign up to the Club at 22 supporter and next level supporter on YouTube. So things might be poor for our team right now, but it's kind of blown me away just how much the support is beginning to grow for this podcast, and we genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely appreciate it. We love doing this. It's never a chore. Even Saturday was probably the biggest chore we've ever done, having to sit here and debrief a game like that. But yeah, I really do appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to see what comes next with the pod. Okay, enough of that. Scott Gemmell, how are you, mate?
Hi Carney, still pretty despondent if I'm being honest. I'm usually quite good at, after a defeat, kind of comparting that. Sorry, can't even speak there. Putting my thoughts away and sort of compartmentalising them, but I've not been able to do so this week. Still feel so despondent about the result at the weekend there. I should really be looking forward to for Rangers playing tomorrow night in the Champions League and to watch some of the Champions League games that are on tonight. But to be honest, I can't really bring myself to get into any kind of excitement because of what we witnessed at the weekend there.
Yeah, if you're in like me, there's just random outbursts of just going, but why did we do that? But why did we do that? And why did he do that? Yeah, every now and again, it just kind of flashes back to you, mate. I've been busy at work, mate, but it's not really helped matters because a lot of people are going to support that team, which is always a laugh. It's always a laugh when you walk in and you've got about 3 or 4 of them waiting for you. Ryan, how are you, mate?
Aye, pretty much the same, lads. Not quite at the stage where I'm over it or it's water under the bridge. It's still very fresh in the memory. However, that's a great way to start the pod. That's about hearing about the support and the coffee buyers, and as you say, getting to 3,000 is phenomenal. I think a lot of that is to do with Ali Pearson being in Cancun. But no, it is great. It really is great, and you've got to kind of sift through the negative comments on YouTube sometimes for us, but I read all of them, and some of the positive comments we get, some of the support we get on YouTube it's so overwhelming. It really is. So yes, thank you to all them. That is a positive spin on what has been a bad few days.
Yeah, and just quickly on that, look, there is always going to be moonhowlers. There's always going to be, while we're on this platform, there is always going to be moonhowlers. You have to just let them, and it's water off a duck's back generally. I don't care what they think of us. I lose very little sleep over it. Their spelling makes me laugh quite a lot. And their personal insults for knowing me for about, 5 minutes that they watch the pod, always give me a chuckle as well. What I will say is we've had a few negative comments as well from Rangers fans, or it looks like Rangers fans. Again, it's hard to tell when it is just a kind of a faceless comment on YouTube or whatever. But what I will say is the people that support this podcast and the people that have supported this podcast from the start, they understand where we're coming from. They might disagree, but when they disagree, it's always done in the nicest possible way, as it should be. We're allowed to disagree. We're Rangers fans. We will always disagree on things. There's no doubt about it. And we called it as we seen it on Saturday. And to be honest, I think very little has changed. So tonight, we're going to go through a number of things, really. I'm not really going to try. I'm going to try and stay away from really breaking down the game, because I think we really did enough of that on Saturday, even though I started it by saying I'm not going to break down the game and then broke down pretty much every single goal. But it was just the way it was at the time. But tonight I'm going to try and dig a little bit deeper. And in my personal opinion, this podcast tonight is, I think, on reflection, and I know it's very easy to be knee-jerk, and I don't think I'm being knee-jerk now because I've had a few days to think about it. I myself personally have papered over cracks. I have allowed myself to be Scotia for a change, and glass half full stuff. I have been like that. Whereas now there is far too many things now that are cropping up, and the whole manner of Saturday has just raised so many questions for me, and alarm bells have not dimmed at all. They really haven't. So we'll start with Saturday. First off, I want to start collectively as a team and as a coaching staff. What we witnessed, nothing went right on Saturday. It's pretty clear, from top to bottom. The attitude, the hunger, the tempo, the application, the desire, everything that you want didn't work. Nothing happened. It is so similar to February that I suppose, Scotia, this is a very open question, but I would like to hear what your answer is. Why did this happen?
Oh, that's a $1 million question, that, isn't it? And you would be very rich if you knew the answer to that. Because,
in your very professional opinion, mate, I would like to know what you think. What went wrong?
Yeah. Do you know what? For me, I know we'll probably get stuck into the coaching staff here an awful lot as well. But for me, I think on that day it was all the players that have not really brought anything to the season so far. They've maybe done it in a game or two. I think collectively, pretty much every single player, barring maybe Cholak and Barisic, have to have a look at themselves with that level of performance that they gave, because you did see it in some bits that Gio's screaming at the side of the pitch, because for that goal where Kent's and Kamara and Lundstrom are all just standing about on their heels, Gio's going mental on the touchline when you see that. And yeah, I think the players just didn't show up, and you liken it back to the game in February there, and I feel even worse this time round than I did after the game in February, because I think there did seem to be a wee bit of an improvement from us in the second half in that game in February, whereas this time round we weren't, and Celtic were sitting there just waiting to toy with us when they could. It was really disappointing all round.
Yes, mate. Ryan, Scotia brings up a point there that this one does feel worse than February. My opinion is why it feels worse, mate, is because it's happened again. Lessons are not being learned, and I don't see that changing.
It's definitely worse. It's definitely worse because of this. It's the first Old Firm game of the season. You expect them to be at it, especially after what happened in February. They know how this Celtic team play, the high tempo. I've praised them enough on Saturday, way over than I should have. Really, they were the better team. They are the better team at the moment, and that's where I'll park it. This is about Rangers. This is a Rangers podcast, so I am going to rip into them a bit. How have they not learned from how that team play? We criticise Aberdeen or Dundee United for their performances at Celtic Park and say, "Oh, look at them! They're lying down to Celtic, and look at this, and these scores are a joke." Our record at Celtic Park is horrific. For professional footballers, is horrific. The amount of goals we've conceded at Celtic Park over the years. Yes, there were points when we were down in divisions or we were just back up, but the goals, there's so many times they've scored 5 goals against at Celtic Park and 3 goals last year and four on Saturday. I worry there's a mentality thing with them at Celtic Park. I do. I know they've won, like Tavernier's won there twice, or Tavernier and Goals have won there twice, but they need to be so much stronger and so much more switched on than that. And it worries me. It really does worry me that they have this collapse in them, because that's a few times where I said to my dad on Saturday, I said, this they could get the record today. They could beat the record for the Old Firm game. They could definitely do it. We look as if we're just going to concede 7, 8 goals here today. And that's worrying, because this is a team who have been invested in. This is a team that Gio has built now, and I keep saying that. These are players he's decided to keep, and it's a team he's built. I'm concerned about so many things, Carney, so many things, and we can point the finger at the board. Yes, they do deserve criticism, and we will get on to that, I'm sure. But if we just look at the players and what they're not doing right, and if Gio's telling them to, he said they were prepared in his post match. He said they were ready for the multi-ball, for the quick attacking. Why were they not ready when we're on the pitch? Why are they not doing it? Is that because they're not reacting to the coaching staff's instructions? Is that because they don't have the hunger anymore? There's so many questions about this team now, and these questions will continue, especially when you think we play in the Champions League tomorrow night. We've all said it, everybody said it's a joke, but wouldn't be surprised if we get a result, wouldn't be surprised if we turn in a performance, wouldn't be surprised if we come out the traps and look really like a sharp team. There's something about them against Celtic that they, maybe not just Celtic, in fact, against domestically this season, because you can look at 4 games this season, in the USG game, the Livingston game, the Hibs game, and now that game, where they have been so off it. They have been lucky to get a point in one of those games, or even 3 points at Livingston. They have been so off what is required. And I don't believe for a second Gio's just get out there and saying, just carry on, you'll be all right, you'll get the 3 points today. There's something, either they're not reacting to the coaching staff, or the coaching staff aren't. They're just not putting out the right messages. There's something broken, and it's concerning at this time of the season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any great doubt, mate. Scotia, I think you, from the way you answered the first question, mate, I think you're kind of probably along the lines of what I'm about to say, that I can't genuinely in my head, whether I don't want to accept it, whether I don't want to understand any sort of excuse that might be put forward for it. For a Rangers team to be going to Parkhead for the first Old Firm game of the season, to not have hunger, to not look like they wanted to put everything on the line, to not want to go to battle, for me, mate, it's unforgivable. Genuinely unforgivable. And if you think that's okay as a player for Rangers, you're at the wrong club. So collectively, mate, something within the team, within the core of the team, maybe it is coming from the coaching staff. I'm guessing we're never going to really know, but the attitude on Saturday is one of the worst that I've ever seen any Rangers team have, especially in an Old Firm game.
Yeah, and the really concerning thing about that is, I mean, we've been here in the past, over the past few seasons under Gerrard and Gio, games at Parkhead, or other Old Firm games as well, for that matter, where there's been certain players that haven't turned up, and we kind of know who those players are. But the really concerning thing for me is that there's some players that you wouldn't expect that to happen to, that happened to at the weekend there. Your likes of Goldsons, your likes of Tavs, your likes of Stephen Davis, Ryan Kent. These are sort of some of the players that will usually come into an Old Firm game and really show us, they can see what it means. Even if overall the performance isn't great, I just didn't get any vibe from that at the weekend there. They just all seem to, pretty much every single one of them seemed to throw in the towel.
Yeah, and I think if we all acknowledge that they've got a better depth in squad, I think that's true. However, I almost don't think it matters when we've got a team that don't want to fight, don't have the hunger, don't have the desire, don't want to be a Rangers team. Because what we've seen on Saturday isn't a Rangers team. There are too many of the players that have been here for too long for them not to understand what an Old Firm game means to everybody. Do you know what I mean? Everybody associated with Rangers, there's no excuse for it at all. And the absolute radio silence of every single player you've seen on social media, they've been banned from social media. You can blatantly see that they have, because they know they would be opening themselves up to all sorts of criticism. They've been told don't go on social media at all. But for me, just if you think that's acceptable, if you think if they're already over it, or genuinely, I believe if they're already over it, they're wrong. I know professional footballers, they move on quick, etc. But if you think that's acceptable and you've already forgotten about it, I'm sorry, I've not forgot about it. So you certainly shouldn't feel sorry for it. It's especially how much money we are paying towards your wages. There's no way you should be forgetting about something like that. Ryan, I want to move on to Gio's style of play. How did he honestly think, mate, genuinely, that Steve Davis, the Glenn Kamara and John Lundstrom in a team going to Parkhead, knowing what Celtic were going to do, knowing the pace that they have within their team, how quickly they want to move the ball, how quickly they want to break on you, how did he think it was going to work? And see if Scott Wright was the backup plan, mate, to play him out right. Why did he not play him on the right-hand side and put Tillman in the middle and at least give Tillman a chance?
This is now my biggest concern about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Last season I was backing him to the hilt because I said this is Gerrard's team and he needs to get his own style and his own players, which he definitely earned. He definitely earned that with his performances in Europe, his tactical decisions in Europe, the way he set his team up, etc. It's just another domestic failing for me with him. I feel as if we have been, I'm going to call it as I see it, I think we've been pretty much rotten in the league. I think we've been really, really poor, especially away from home, so negative. And I can't remember if I said in the pod that I was just ranting in a message or whatever it was, spoke to so many people, but you watch them and the goalkeeper rolls it to the defender, he turns, takes it on the spin and plays it to the midfielder, who takes it on the spin and plays it to an attacker or a winger. They're 3 passes and they're up the pitch. For me, that's effective. That's attacking football. That's clearly not Gio's style. But this 3 defensive midfielders will cost him his job. I'll tell you that right now. I've seen it with Gerrard. I've seen it with Warburton as well. We have been crying out for attacking midfielders and a right winger for 4-5 years, something like that, round about that. Somebody about to tell us. Gio's tactics concern me massively because he needs. I said it after the Hibs game. Again, don't know if I said it in the pod. I should have. If I didn't, then he needs to change it domestically. Whether that's his philosophy or not, Feyenoord fans have said he's very stubborn and he'll stick with his philosophy. If he does not change it domestically, he will be gone. I'm absolutely convinced because playing 3 central defensive midfielders or 2 sometimes at Ibrox will finish you. It will finish you because you need to score goals, you need to get that second goal, you need to attack. And it just looked as if he was trying to play possession football, then hopefully get a long one to Kent. And it's just, he's really let himself down and he deserves a lot of criticism. He does, and you know how much a fan I am of Van Bronckhorst, but he deserves a lot of criticism for his tactics at the moment, and they will come under severe scrutiny this weekend when we play a getaway to Aberdeen.
Yeah, I think that's arguably the bigger game out of this week, mate, is what happens on Saturday. And I'm not sure he understands that, genuinely. Which is kind of, it's baffling from a guy that's played here. It's a guy that's, he knows what the club's, he's meant to know what the club is all about. There's a whole other topic within that about the board and etc. I mean, you could go down all sorts of rabbit holes here. I'm going to try my hardest not to because we could be here for hours. Scotia, Ryan's right. I think we should be worried. And see, domestically, I think the stat that I seen was we are 16 for 30. 16 points out of 30, and we've got a neutral goal difference right now away from home. I mean, that's Aberdeen standards, that's Hearts standards, Hibs standards even. That's not going to win you a league. If we're going to be honest, mate, I can't remember. We have seen flashes of great play, we have, but maybe I'm being a wee bit too tinfoil hat here. The goals that we've seen that have been that free-flowing kind of quick passing movement, that was Gerrard. I think that's the players resulting back to what Gerrard's taught them there and not what exactly Gio's trying to teach, because right now, mate, we are so predictable in the league. The tactics are going to be exactly the same. We know what we're going to do. we're excited to go to Ibrox. I'm not 100% sure we're excited to go and watch the football that we're going to see at Ibrox. I think this is me, but yeah, as I say, the cracks are. I'm not papering over on them anymore. And should we be concerned, mate, that Gio's not going to change it?
Yeah, I think we do now after that performance at the weekend, because I'm guilty of kind of giving people far too much benefit of the doubt and allowing them to kind of rectify it. Whereas after that, like you say, when Gio first came in, he had that wee bounce from after the League Cup game against Celtic. Obviously, wasn't in charge, or not Celtic, sorry, Hibs. It wasn't in charge for up until Christmas. We were looking really good. Went on that wee bit of a run. Is that down to the new manager bounce type of thing? Back after Christmas, and there was just too many results, particularly from home, where we just looked poor, slow, pedestrian, and he's carried that into this season. You know, like you say there, in terms of, you kind of know what Rangers are going to do when they're breaking up the park, and you've seen it quite an awful lot this season. It'll get passed up to the midfield. The midfielder piss about with it for a wee while, and they're kind of waiting on Tav to make the overlap in the right. And like you sit and watch it, and you go, as an opposition player, it must be so easy to defend that you know exactly what the team are going to do. And it's getting Gio coming in. Yes, he played for Rangers, so you should know all about it, but you get this kind of feeling that it's not fully appreciating what Scottish football's like. I get that wee sense in it, that he's maybe thinking, no, if I can play to this style that I want to play, which is perfectly suited for Europe, would be perfectly suited for a European league, but we're playing in Scotland, and we've come across this in the past. Obviously, Le Guen coming in wanting to play a certain way, couldn't. Walter comes back in and sorts it, reverts right back to how you should be playing the game in Scotland. Seen it with Warburton. What was Warburton's plan B? Do plan A better? It's not the case. I think we've not got this. We need other options, I think, and he's going to have to get it right very, very soon, because we've got taking the Champions League games away this month away. We've got 2 or 3 games until international break, and then we've got that chunky games in between the start of October till November before the World Cup, and we can't afford to lose any game, really, because if we do, because at the moment you can't see Celtic dropping points. Now they could, but you wouldn't say that with any confidence, really. So we really need to keep on top of it until the World Cup, and right now I'm finding it difficult to kind of see how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the performances in Europe. The best football we've played under Gio has been in Europe. There's no argument, I don't think, in that. I think we, by far, have played the best football in Europe. And yeah, and it's all resorting back to the kind of growing opinion that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst won't win us the league domestically, but he'll probably win every cup that he's involved in. Obviously, taking away the Champions League, I doubt very much, no matter how staunch you are, you actually believe that Rangers are going to win the Champions League. But I do think right now the predictability is so. I mean, you put double up on Kent, double up on Tav. We don't have very much going. That's pretty much it. Barisic will need to do a lot to get up and down and do his overlaps, which he does do. But again, if we're even playing Tillman on the sort of right-hand side, if you like, with Tav being the overlap to that, it doesn't work. We've seen that it doesn't work, and it feels too much square peg round hole stuff, and I can't understand why. Do you know what I mean? And it probably leads me very nicely on to the board, everybody's favourite conversation at the moment. Ryan, have the board left Gio out to dry? Or has Gio kind of left himself out to dry by, look, and he's not got the greatest grasp of the English language. I get that. I think I'm going to be slightly controversial and say I think that's slightly put on with the media. And I think he's kind of like the Alfredo Morelos. I don't speak very good English sometimes, when I think he does just fine. But he could have made the comment and the pressure when asked about the window. What do you see happening in the last couple of days of the transfer window? He says, I'm happy with the squad. He could have said, I would like to add one or two or one more to the squad, but we'll see what happens, which then kind of takes the onus off of him and kind of puts it back onto the board. So it's hard for us to answer, because the board have seemed to have vanished and the cat's got their tongue, because they're the communication with the fans is getting worse, if that was even possibly a thing. But in your opinion, mate, is this Gio or is it the board?
Well, he's very good at media trained answers, Gio, and especially with Rangers. The Rangers media, he's very good at just those standard questions are asked him, and he's good at just giving those box tick answers, which is fine because that's what you do for your club media. So he could have said, we're always looking to add quality. I might be reading too much into it when he said, no, I'm happy with the squad. I can't believe he'd be happy with the squad. I can't believe that for a second when he knows going into an Old Firm game, two of his signings aren't on, well, one of his signings isn't even on the bench in Matondo, which is a big concern for me because that's one of the attacking options that he's brought in to mitigate this problem where we can't create chances, which I've not mentioned about us again. We'd created little, if any, chances again on Saturday, which is it's a thing. It's beyond a thing now. Yilmaz, I don't know what's happened with Yilmaz. I don't know why he's here. Why did we sign him? Why did we spend 5, 4, 6 million, whatever it was, on this boy, and he's sitting on the bench on the biggest game of the season so far? Morelos, who has been a problem to him this season and a problem to Rangers once again with his attitude. He's not anywhere near where he should be. So I can't believe when he's been asked that he's not thinking, yeah, I need to bring 2 or 3 in. Definitely need to bring whether Yilmaz isn't up to speed or, Ben Davies is injured, that's fine. I appreciate that happens. Matondo's not up to speed or not settled in or there's something not right. For him to not be on the squad at all, has he seen enough of one on the training pitch to say, he's not good enough? Or I don't know what's happened there. But no way do I believe that Van Bronckhorst thinks that's a good enough team before Saturday. So, but we do know as well, someone brought up a good point that Gerrard did say before he left. He said that he'd obviously spoke to the board and he'd asked the board for more. He wanted to, I can't remember if it was an interview with Jamie Carragher, I can't remember who it was, Scotia might remember, but he said that he wanted to go again and take us to the kind of next level, and he didn't feel that was the case from the board. And when he left, he did say that people will find out why I left. I think he mentioned it in his social media or something like that. I hope the fans understand once things come out that why I left. So if you want to read between the lines there, that there's maybe something the board aren't giving managers what they want, or they're entertaining the shareholders more than they're investing in the team. It's all guesswork for us. It's all guesswork for the fans because the fans are kept in the dark. And just remember to pay your My Jers and remember to pay your season ticket payment. Don't forget to pay the high Champions League ticket prices. Oh, and here's a fan engagement survey if you want to take that as well. I've seen that coming out today. Ha. Chuckle. But yeah, listen, it's all guesswork, and these are the things annoyingly that we'll all fall out about as fans, and we'll all argue with each other on Twitter and have a go. You know nothing. It's this guy. It's Gio. It's the board.
Yeah,
we're left in the dark, and we shouldn't. And it's just a lack of engagement that the club keeps saying that they pride themselves on.
Scotia, I think the bits that's frustrating me most with the board right now is the whole financial fair play thing that's been floated about, and Rangers are going to be looked into, etc., etc. There's going to be new regulations, all this. The board actually have an excuse that they could buff up in order to release to the fans and say, oh, look, this is why we didn't do this. They almost have like a pre-planned excuse, as if it's kind of been plucked out of nowhere. But they still have nothing. We still have absolutely zero. And I get it's just after an Old Firm defeat. I get that everybody's still not in the best frame of mind about what we've witnessed. But I do think the board have to have some form of communication with the fans about what's going on here, about why it's happened. Is this just the same old thing, mate, that Ryan's just said? Thank you, fan. All you are is money to us.
It certainly feels like that. I think I'm not expecting the board to come out and tell us every single inner working of how Rangers work and operate as a football club, but I do think there needs to be a wee bit more given out there. Like you say, I think the financial fair play stuff does have an awful lot to do with maybe the way that the windows went. But then equally, you look at that transfer window, and Arfield and Davis were both given new contracts. Now, I don't imagine they're taking a massive pay cut or anything. If anything, maybe a slight pay rise. McGregor gets signed up in a new contract as well. So the board, Ross Wilson, are saying to Gio, you can do this. And then Gio's just accepting that as well. So the blame lies in everyone, because there's no way that we needed both Arfield and Davis on longer term contracts. It's just pushing the can further down the road of getting replacements into that area. It probably does have an awful lot to do with the financial fair play stuff. Surely the board could come out and say, this is the reason why. I remember there was a period of maybe about 2 years back or so that the board did start to come out and they were engaging. There was a wee period for a couple of months where they're doing that, but they've kind of reverted back to kind of radio silence at the minute, and it's frustrating, particularly when you see the results and performances at the weekend there. But we're not asking too much to just get a wee bit more update and things like that, I would say.
Yeah, and then obviously Dave King comes out with his megaphone every time things are going wrong. Big Dave shows up, and look, I'm not criticising Dave King for what he done for our football club, but pick your moments, Dave. Eh? I mean, how many times
he's picked his moment? He has.
That's true.
He probably did that. He probably did that interview like last week and just said, "Edit the score and just say your score." That.
Yeah, but look, he says a lot of things that we probably agree with, but again, I just don't think we need to air our dirty laundry in public. Do you know what I mean? Speak with the board, do it privately. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not sure there's much of a communication between the board and Dave King right now, and that's why he chooses to do it the way that he's doing it. I promise we'll move on soon, lads. I promise. I want to speak just quickly before we wrap it up, just about a few individual players, and it's not that I'm singling them out or anything, but I feel like we wouldn't be doing it justice if we didn't speak about them. The first one, unfortunately, is McLaughlin. We all called for it, and we all pretty much said that McLaughlin should be our number one, Ryan. But I have watched the game back for my sins, mate, because I wanted to make sure I was right on certain things with for the pod, and for the pod, generally for the podcast. I didn't take any sort of enjoyment in it. It's not good viewing, mate. It's not. In my opinion, he's at fault. At the end, he is at the fault for 3 goals. There are certain decisions that he makes that ultimately lead to the goal, or doesn't perform good enough. That's probably with the first goal. The first goal, he should save. I just think a strong enough hand to it. He should save. It can happen, I get that, but not in days like that. The second goal, no matter how much a good finish it is from Jota, he gives them that space to hit. He doesn't even rush out. It's not as if he's going full pelt to come out for it. He just gives them space, because my personal opinion, at that point, stay in your line. Just stay on your line, cover your near post. I'm not a goalkeeper, but cover your near post, and he probably doesn't score from that angle. He still might, but you're making it a lot more difficult for him than what it was. Even again, I don't want somebody saying, and it was a good goal. Yes, I get that. I understand that. And the fourth goal, mate, is that's the worst goal I have ever seen Rangers concede in an Old Firm game. I have never seen a goal worse than that in my life. And that, to me, that one goal is everything that's wrong right now with the team collectively, genuinely. My reason why I'm bringing him up, mate, an outfield player does that, i.e. Borna Barisic done that in February, he was dropped. Does Gio stick with his guns here and stick that McLaughlin's still number one, or is he going to drop him for McGregor? What would you do?
Alan Brugger comes straight back in tomorrow night for me. I felt that game was coming for McLaughlin. He's made me nervous. And numerous times at Ibrox with he's mucking about. He's done a Cruyff turn against somebody. I think it might have been a friendly, but it doesn't matter. He mucks about the ball. I feel there's been a few goals this season where the balls went through him. I felt the equaliser against Hibs he didn't even make a dive for. It wasn't top bag. I just feel as if there's been a few where it's easy to say, oh, McGregor would have saved that, but McGregor would have saved that. That is it for me, and he just looks like the number 2 goalkeeper that I thought he was.
Yeah.
I kind of get sucked into this, like, oh, McGregor doesn't come for crosses, but like I keep saying, McGregor never ever came for crosses. It's not a thing he did. The defence are not dealing with it, and you're seeing that now. The goals that we concede come from wide. Tavernier is not stopping the cross. Barisic is not stopping the cross. Yilmaz, whoever it is, I'm not individual. and then the defenders aren't dealing with it when it comes across. It happened in the Europa League final. The goal we conceded in the Europa League final was from a cross, and Goldson, Bassey didn't deal with it, and it doesn't fall on the goalkeeper. I'm sorry. Those on Saturday fell on the goalkeeper, the majority of them, and McLaughlin needs to be dropped for me. And what I'm worried about is that this pressure is now on Alan McGregor to be this superb goalkeeper that we knew he used to be. Whether he is anymore, I don't know. I know he's still a great shot stopper, but again, why have we not invested and bought a goalkeeper in? I was convinced we would. I was convinced we were going to go for that boy at Dundee United. I'm pretty sure he went to Celtic. I can't remember his name. I thought we were going to go for someone like that because, he looked a decent goalkeeper, and I thought you'd be better suited to come to us. But, another failing by us. Is it Van Bronckhorst's decision? Is it the board? Collectively as a club, we've just not done the right thing, and John McLaughlin's not number one for me, Carney. He never has been.
Scotia, your opinion on the matter. Is it, have we just been, I don't know, kind of not fooled into it, that's probably the wrong word, but McLaughlin's there, so why not play McLaughlin kind of thing? So we've just decided that Alan McGregor's finished, even though, I mean, he's shown signs of it. Of course he did. He was showing signs of regression, mate. There's no doubt about it. He's on the downward slope. But or is this just John McLaughlin's decided that he's going to have the worst day of his career on Saturday, and it's just unfortunate when it's happened? Or is the weight of the shirt too big for him? What's your opinion on it all, mate?
I think there's a combination of a lot of things here, and it harks back to what I was saying about giving McGregor that extra year contract, because McGregor came on off the bench in the Scottish Cup final, and everyone at the time was like, right, that's his last game, swan song, and then McLaughlin can then sit and focus on being the number one. With McGregor getting that extra year contract extension, we've said it all through the summer there, that there's going to come a point when McLaughlin, if he does start as number one, is going to have a poor performance somewhere.
He's going to have a Saturday. Yeah, he's going to have a Saturday.
Yeah, yes. I think for McLaughlin, you can put it into that category if he's had an absolutely nightmare of a day, because I've seen better goalkeepers like Donnarumma, like Allison, have shocking individual games, but it doesn't mean they'll continue to do that. So I think he's just had an absolute shocking performance. But it's this, you've got that problem because McGregor is sitting there. And as well, we've not spoke about him very much, but Robbie McCrory must be sitting there going like, am I ever going to get a look in? Because I think people's opinions now will get to like, well, we need to bring in a number one starter now. So time's probably up for Robbie McCrory, which I hate to say because I think he had the potential to be a long-term number one for us.
Well, even when you think when we were COVID-stricken, mate, the Hollander goal against Celtic when McCrory came in, he was superb. Generally, he didn't put a foot wrong that whole game. But I would bring in Alan McGregor because I just agree that my opinion is that if an outfield player has a performance like that, he gets dropped. So it's up to them to prove to the manager again that he's ready for the shirt again. But I do agree with Ryan. It puts an unbelievable amount of pressure on Alan McGregor for a game like tomorrow night that we're expecting him to be the kind of saving grace, if you like, in goals. Last one, Ryan Kent. Ryan, I watched the game back, as I said. He rolls the ball to the Celtic player for the second goal. Literally rolls the ball to him to hit the free kick quickly. See, if he doesn't want to be here, mate, then we have to do our best to move him on as quickly as we can. There will be calls for him not to play. I think the biggest issue with that, mate, is who do you play in his place?
But this is it. This is totally it.
There's no one.
We're in a catch-22 until from now till, or do you play Matondo out there and you drop Kent for now? But the thing that annoys me about Ryan Kent is we have this conversation every season. We had it this same time last season, and then he got injured, and I'm pretty sure I said something like, I don't know, I said something like, oh, that injury's maybe done him a favour because he just didn't look up to it, and maybe he'll gather his thoughts and come back and be on fire. He's so like, you summed him up perfectly the other day there when you said he beats 3-4 men, then passes it back to Borna Barisic, or
yeah.
he just doesn't have. And then when he gets into the box with the ball, he looks as if his feet are disconnected from his ankles, because he can't shoot. He doesn't. I don't know. He just doesn't know how to shoot, and I don't know. I worry. I said at the beginning of the season, what game was it? I slaughtered Ryan Kent, and then I think, it was a Livingston game, but then he ended up crossing the ball for Arfield for the equaliser. But I just feel I want more from Ryan Kent. I want more from a winger. I want more from an attacking midfielder. And probably that's where I'm coming from with Ryan Kent when I do criticise him. I think he's got to just do a lot more. So much more on the ball. And I think it is hard for him because he does get double marked, or sometimes at Ajax I've seen him three boys on him. But that's what he needs to deal with. That we need to move him out there or shift him, or we need to do something with him. He does have ability. He has got this game to him, but you always think Ryan Kent is the best games he plays at Celtic Park. But see, just now he's miles off it. Absolutely, I wouldn't have him. Honestly, he's not in my team for tomorrow night. I wouldn't have him my teammate because I thought it was a shambles on Saturday, an absolute shambles, and I hate saying that. I've said it a couple of times about him, and then he goes and has a good game, but very rarely I go away from a game and think, like Dortmund game, he was amazing that night. Amazing Dortmund away. Very rarely do I come away from Ibrox or a Rangers game and think, Kent must be catching the eye. He was phenomenal. And his numbers are poor. I don't care what anyone says, his numbers are so poor, and it plays a part in why we are struggling to create and score goals.
Scott Wright's got a better goal ratio to minutes played than Ryan Kent right now. I think that tells you everything about Ryan Kent's end finishing product just now.
Yeah, it's Kent's finishing products. It's really frustrated me for a long time now, but he gets away with it because one of the things that he always does, he always keeps going in a game. He doesn't hide in games, and that. Yeah. Some of that's taken him through, and he's getting taken through by people's memory of him a couple of seasons back and things like that. Like Ryan's saying there, his numbers just aren't good enough, really, for that type of player that we want. You don't want your winger guy like that to have the numbers that he's got, because he's one, along with Kamara, that if they get the ball and try and shoot, I know they've done it occasionally in the past, but it's far too occasionally, particularly in the case for Ryan Kent. I mean, I've said it before, if he could put numbers to his game, he wouldn't be at Rangers. But at the minute, he probably shouldn't be at Rangers because he's not got numbers to his game. There could be better options out there. Like, I think I'd probably have him in my team tomorrow for the single fact is that I don't think we've got really too many other people that we can come in and replace him. If Lawrence was fit, then I would maybe be thinking about playing Lawrence out on the left-hand side and dropping Kent. But at the minute, I think just because of where we are as a squad, with the options we've got, like Ryan says, you could bring Matondo in there, but he's still not seemed to be getting up to speed, so that would worry me. He needs to get better domestically, and he will probably turn in tomorrow night and turn in an absolute brilliant performance, score a hat-trick or something and put egg all over my face, but it's hard to see that, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think when you mentioned a point there, mate, that who else do you bring in to replace him? I think there's a lot of players in this team just now that know there's nobody there to replace them, and it doesn't really matter for them whether they play bad or they play good. Ryan Kent being one, Connor Goldson being another, James Tavernier to a certain extent as well, who hasn't had a good start to the season. And yeah, I think there's another whole podcast in that, to be honest, just to speak about all that. But yeah, look, we'll park that there, lads. I realise at the time. I will try our hardest not to talk about that game ever again from going forward now until Ali comes back and probably wants to have his say. But let's be honest, nobody really cares what Ali has to say because he's been away sunning himself in Mexico. Right, we'll move on to the preview of the Ajax game, lads. The big games just keep on coming. As we've been recording the Twitter thread of Van Bronckhorst's press conference has came out. He's mentioned a few things. I mean, I've not heard the questions asked, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them have been around the disappointment of Saturday. He said we were all disappointed at the weekend. The worst feeling you can have at a game, and we have to get back up and be ready for the next game. We definitely need to improve from Saturday, and we have to learn from our defeats and keep going. Yeah, that's pretty evident. Yeah, after a defeat, you reflect on your own decisions. Many things went wrong on Saturday. I have to keep trusting my players. We have bounced back before from poor results, and we need to do so again. And then, just on Ajax, he said Ajax have a lot of danger. A team with a lot of Champions League experience. It is set up to be a great match for us to reach our level and play against a top team. Our level. Level. Oh, that's one to use. I'm telling you, Mr. Van Bronckhorst, that's one to use. A level. Ajax themselves are in pretty good form, actually, within the league. They are yet to drop a point. 5 games, 5 wins, 16 goals scored, only 3 conceded. To caveat that, they have not played PSV, AZ Alkmaar or Feyenoord yet. They won 4-0 at the weekend at home against Cambuur, and they did just sell one of their star men, Anthony, to Man United. However, Ryan, a certain Calvin Bassey is going to be playing because I think your usual starting left back is injured. Going to be strange seeing him playing against us, that's for sure. But put it this way, mate, we're in the group stages of the Champions League now. None of these games are going to be easy.
No, this is another level now. This isn't Europa League. This is a complete other level, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting game for Rangers tomorrow night and see how these players come out, because they'll need to be on it and switched on straight away. If I was Ajax, I would be straight in about that multi-ball. That's what I'd be doing, just to see if we've learned from it yet. In terms of Calvin Bassey, this sounds brutal, and I'm not going for staunch points, but Calvin Bassey's moved on. It will be weird seeing him in an Ajax shirt for the first 5 minutes, but after that, as far as I'm concerned, he's the enemy tomorrow night. I want to see Tav going right through him. Rangers need to. They really have a point to prove, and have a point to prove to themselves, to the manager, to the fans. And it's hard to get up for it because what happened at the weekend, but we're in the Champions League group stages. It is exciting. Playing Ajax away it's going to be something else tomorrow night. There will be in they will be in for a hard game because this Ajax team batter goals in like that team we played on Saturday, so we will be up against it. But I wonder if Rangers can raise the performance levels like they do in Europe and turn in one of these performances, because every one of us have said it at some point. You wouldn't put it past them to actually do that. It does worry me that Van Bronckhorst is saying things like he needs to stick by his players, or he needs to. What were the words he said there?
We need to be. We're obviously playing a top class team that will be able to reach our level.
Right. He said something else about something about his players. He needs to stick with his players or something. I don't know, but it's coming out with stuff like that on the 6th of September is a slight concern. But that's how we've started the season. We have started in a total snail trail. It needs to start tomorrow night. Tomorrow's the first big one, not the biggest one this week in my opinion, unbelievably. But I'm looking. I want a point tomorrow night. I want a point minimum tomorrow night. I know that sounds crazy, but we're Rangers, and I think we should be ambitious about getting through this group stage. I can hear laughs in the background, honestly, when I say that, but I think we need to be ambitious. I think we need to be like that as Rangers. We need to think to ourselves that if we get a point or 3 points against Ajax, then we can do something in this group. Something can change. Players' form can change. Confidence can change. So they need to quickly forget about Saturday, as we all do. But the team, first and foremost, need to forget about Saturday and get on with us tomorrow night.
Yeah, Scores, obviously, I'm just reading this directly off Twitter as we're recording, mate. I haven't actually seen the video of the press conference, but Tav spoke to the press. He said obviously the weekend was very disappointing. We need to bounce back straight away. We want to put in a performance tomorrow for our fans. We openly speak as a group. We always go through the game no matter the scoreline, and we know what we need to put right. We all know we need a performance. We all expect high standards, and we can't let that level drop. The character of the team is strong. We have experience of playing PSV Feyenoord now in Europe, and we look forward to going up against the best teams. We want to come away tomorrow night with a good result and take that into Aberdeen at the weekend. There is always fire in this squad to rectify and improve to the standards we have. Now, that's all reassuring words. Generally, it is. That's all nice to hear. It's good to hear that from James Tavernier, but actions speak louder than words in this case, in my personal opinion, and he can say as much as he wants. It's all about what is actually happening within the squad just now. And look, mate, we know this team, we know this how Gio is in Europe, and there'll probably be another papering over of the cracks tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really blame Tav for coming out with the comments that he comes out with. And yes, when people hear them back, you think they're maybe a wee bit like drip fed to you and say it media trained, media friendly. But as fans, we'd be going just as mental if he came out and said, "Oh no, we're absolutely terrible, we're rotten, we're this, we're that." Where's the confidence? Where's the belief? Because we done it with Goldson last season when he came out with his comments after that Hibs game. So, you know, I can understand that they need to come out with this kind of party line. That stuff like that doesn't bother me too much, but it's Rangers and it's Rangers in Europe, so it's going to be interesting because, like you mentioned, you mentioned obviously Anthony away to Man U, but they've had a massive turnover. I think they've just under £200 million worth of players have went out the door this summer for them. It seems to be one of these summers that Ajax tend to have, that they shift on an awful lot of their players. Like obviously Martinez went away to Man U as well, and then Haller away to Dortmund and Gravenberch to Munich. You know, and I mean, 16.5 million was the cheapest of them. So big turnover of players. Brought in a few players as well. It was interesting that Tav was out in the press conference because he's going to need to have a really good game because that boy Bergwijn, it was at Spurs last season. He's come in the window and he started off pretty well as well. I think you'd mentioned there that the left back they'd brought in Windell, he's out injured at the minute. I think Bassey's been playing as a centre half along with Timber in centre half. So I think Bassey probably starts centre half as well, which Kenny intrigued me as like, I wonder what Morelos was like up against Bassey at centre half in training, if that would have any bearing on Gio's thoughts and his team selection or not. It's going to be an interesting game, but I think it's the type of game that we probably need after the performance we've just had there. I would much prefer having this game than, you know, if we were just going straight into the Aberdeen game after that performance at the weekend. I think this will suit the players a bit more. So I'm trying to build myself up to be confident, but I think we can get a result at least.
Yeah, you're coming round already, mate. See, this podcast's good for that kind of, mate. It gets the therapy going, mate. Gets the good feeling going. No, I mean, it's a massive game. Generally, Ajax is a good team, no doubt about it. Last year's champions. It's going to be a tough match, but I would agree with you, Scotia. I think this is probably the better game to have than to have if we'd Aberdeen on Wednesday night at Pittodrie, I would not be feeling very good at all. I'd be like, oh no, because you just kind of know what to expect. But this game might suit us quite well. I think it could be quite a frantic game. Obviously, both teams are going to want to get a good a start as possible in the start of the Champions League. Ajax will fancy their chances of going through as well. So it's a really interesting game. They've got quality. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I think we have shown as a squad in Europe, definitely in Europe, that when we're on it in Europe, we're pretty much a match for anybody if Gio gets it right. He's an experienced European manager, and he knows the Dutch game extremely well. So I'm confident that he's done his homework, and I just hope this time round that he gets the tactics correct and doesn't choose to play three holding midfielders. Please do not do that, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Thank you very much. So we'll come on to the interesting bit. Ryan, you can go first, mate. Who's your team for tomorrow night, and what is your score?
Do you want my team or do you want the team that I think Gio will pick?
I want your team, but you can also tell me what you think Gio will pick if you wish.
Okay, I'm going to pick McGregor in goals, Tavernier, Goldson, Sands. I'm going to pick Yilmaz. I think he'll pick Barisic. Not that Borna did anything wrong. Offensively, I thought he was half decent on Saturday, but defensively, that's still there, and I think you need a defender. And you need to start playing this Yilmaz. I say it every single pod, but what we're doing. Anyway, rant over with that. I'm going to play Lundstrom. I'm going to play Charlie McCann because where is that boy playing? But he won't play. I think he'll play Ryan Jack tomorrow night with Lundstrom. And then I think he'll play Kent, Tillman, Wright, Cholak. I would play Matondo, Tillman, Wright, Cholak.
Fair enough, mate. What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. Bassey on goal for the first one.
Yeah, he owes us one, didn't he?
Get up, Calvin Bassey.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see a sort of rotation like that, but no. My team's what I think he is going to pick, apart from one, because McGregor's in, but I think he'll play McLaughlin. But for me, McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Sands, Barisic, Lundstrom, I'm the same. I think he'll play Jack. He might play Kamara. I think it's a toss-up between Jack and Kamara. Tillman, I think he'll play Ryan Kent because I don't think he's got an option not to. And it'll be Cholak and Wright. The other two. I'm going for 2 each. I'm going for Cholak to score first. And I suppose that says a lot about how I'm feeling about this Rangers team right now. But hold on to your seats, everybody. It's going to be one of those games. Scotia, your team and score, mate.
Yeah, I've had this kind of similar thought and realised we're at the hour mark, so probably can't go into discussions too much. But I was thinking maybe
go for it, mate. Go for it.
Bring in King at centre half alongside Goldson and push Sands further up
midfield. That's a good shout.
I totally agree with you, Scotia, because I think, sorry to jump all over you, but I do like your thinking in that, because I was speaking to someone the other day and I'm kind of like, see when we're talking about not having depth, when is he going to play these young boys? I know Lowry's injured, but see McCann is brought into the first team and King, and who's the other one? Lowry obviously is injured, but there's another one, I can't remember. Yeah, if he's going to bring these boys in, why play them? If they're good enough to be in the first team, play them, because clearly so many of our first team are way off it at the moment. Sorry.
It's a cracking shout, Scotia. It's a cracking shout.
It is.
So yeah, I'll go for the team that I want him to play. So it won't be the team that I think it'll be, but the team I want. So McLaughlin, Tav, Goldson, King, Barisic, Lundstrom, Sands, Tillman, Kent, Cholak, and Wright.
Your score?
Sands midfield.
2-1 with Tav to score.
A penalty. Obviously. Must be a penalty. No, I genuinely like that thinking. And I honestly, if Dave was fit and playing 100%, I would go with that. I would put Sands into the midfield. I don't think Sands has really done anything to deserve to be dropped. I mean, I know nobody was particularly good on Saturday, but there's nothing really evident with me that I can remember Sands thinking, oh, you've had a shocker there. Collectively, that the whole team wasn't good, I get that, but there was no glaring mistake. Maybe there was. As I say, I closed my eyes for a lot of the game when I was watching it back. So, but no, I like your thinking, mate, putting Sands out in the midfield. I generally do. I'd love to think he'd be brave enough to do that, mate, but I think all three of us sitting here right now know he will not do that. He will just not do that. But look, an interesting game, nevertheless. I'm sure, again, the reason we done the podcast like this tonight is because I thought it was important to try and really put this to bed and try and move on and to try and cover as many bases as possible. We're all aware of what's going on in the club right now. We all have our different opinions on where the stem of the problem is coming from. But however, we are all Rangers fans and we need to back this team into the Champions League proper. The Champions League proper this time. The music actually means something now, which is brilliant. And I know by tomorrow afternoon at the very latest, I'll be absolutely buzzing to see us in the Champions League again. So for tonight, that will do. Remember, if you would like to support the pod and continue to help us grow, you can join the YouTube channel for as little as 99p or $1.99 to really support us reach the next level. If you have already signed up to that, please go to the community page on YouTube and take part of the poll we have running just now. We would like to hear from you. You can also buy the podcast a coffee and sign up to the coffee buying membership via buymeacoffee.com. Again, if you're a coffee buying legend, please check your emails regarding the same poll that is on the community tab. All links for all of that are below if you would like to join. So, Scotia, thank you very much for tonight, mate. And I'm presuming it's us three again tomorrow night, because I don't know where Alistair is. When's he home?
I'm sure he's home tomorrow at some point. Or he leaves tomorrow night at some point. He might miss it again. It might be great. rub that into him.
Yeah, cheers for tonight,
cheers. Mate. Yeah, cheers, Carney. I'm glad that that's us now, got that out of the way, and we don't need to speak about Sunday or Saturday even ever again.
Honestly, I'm going to try my hardest not to. Ryan, Ryan, thanks very much for tonight, mate. And yeah, boys, speak to you tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Yeah, I'll be up for it tomorrow. I think I'll be the same once the afternoon comes and you know Rangers are playing the Champions League and it's getting closer. Hear that music, see Rangers in the Champions League will be a buzz, and I will be well up for it. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully Rangers can get the feel-good factor back just ever so slightly going into a Saturday 12 o'clock kickoff. Looking forward to that one as well.
Oh, honestly, it's always a backhanded compliment with you, mate. Always a backhanded compliment.
I just want to be answering what you say.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. As always, please do like the videos. Please subscribe to the channel. That would be smashing. And whatever you listen to us, if you could drop us a wee 5-star rating as well, that would be much appreciated. We will be back after the game tomorrow night with a reaction video. And thank you so much again for getting us past 3K subs. And the target is now 4, everybody. The target is now 4. So we are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Play up the famous Glasgow Rangers. Cheers, everybody.